Alright, it is I, Mr. O, back again, and we're at Unit 3, Lesson 5, using the graphing calculator to do all the function stuff. You're going to be seeing a lot of this more hands-on in class, but just page right here on our first screen is just going to give you some of the big ones. Y equals right here is absolutely important. That's where you're going to enter your equation or whatever function you're going to put into. You just hit the Y equals button, type it all in. Remember that xt theta n button right to the right of the green button is the one that allows you to put an x into the system. So we can do it. Your graphing button is in the upper right hand corner. The Y equals was the upper left hand corner, so there's graphing button. Once you got an equation all done here from the other one, just hit the graphing button, and you can take a look at the graph. We will teach you more about how to play with the window and shift things, whatever you need to do. The other button combination you're going to need is the second Y equals. Hit those combinations of buttons, and that allows you to see the table, and that's critical. This way you don't have to do all those tables by hand that you've been doing. Now you can just punch it in, boom, write down your X and Y columns, and you're all set to go, and you can take a look at it and plot it by hand as well on your graph, okay? Make sure you have these big key buttons in your notes, so they're very important. And we will start the lesson now. All right, so exercise 1 basically says using your graphing calculator, answer a bunch of questions here about the function f of x is equal to 1/2 x plus 2. Well, the first thing they want you to do is figure out these three pieces right here, f of -6, f of 0, and f of 8. Right? You do not have to plug them in. Yes, I could plug them in by hand here, and I could take 1/2 of -6, which is -3, and add 2 to it, and I will get a -1. That is the answer. At the same time, you can now go to your calculator, go take a look at -6 in the column, scroll up actually where the -6 is, and it will tell you over in the Y column what the value is, in this case -1. Do the same thing for 0 and 8 for a moment. So pause and make sure you can find them on the calculator. All right, now you should be back. You should have found that f of 0 hits at 2. So if you put an input of 0 in this problem, you get a 2. And an output is for f of 8 turns out to be 6. Okay. Now, in part B here, we're going to move on, and they actually ask you, where is the function of x equal to 11? Now, remember, you're looking for the x value on this, okay? You're looking for that x value. They told you the output already, the y value, okay? So go into the y column, find that number 11, and then go read to the left of that the x column value. That's all you need to do on this. And if you do that, you will find out, after scrolling a little ways, that it's 18. So the actual thing would have been 18 comma 11. Now we're going to move on to part C, which is actually filling in this table. So I want you to pause the video here for a moment, go get the numbers for this table and fill them in, and we're going to come back and put it all together. All right, you should have found that -6 gave you an output of -1, -4 gave you 0, then you got a 1, then you got 2, then you got 3. You see a pattern here. And 4 turns out to be 4, and 6 turns out to be 5. Okay. Obviously, you can go and put them as a comma, -6 comma, -1. These are your coordinate pairs, -4, 0, and so on. I am not going to do that, but I'm sure you guys can fill that in and make sure you got to put the two columns together, okay? That will get us ready for part D now. We're going to actually graph this function. So when I go to plot these points here, we said we got -6. So I'm going to go 6 to the left, down 1. So I'll put a point right there. -4 is at 0. Oops, I'm off a little bit here. I'm going to go back. I will undo this. Guess not. I'm going to come back over and put the points here then. That's there. That one's there. I'll ignore my points and the errors here. And then we've got, let's see here, -2 is up 1. 0 is up 2. 2 is up 3. 4 is up 4. And 6 up 6. We get all those points coming in here. Connect the dots. Put your arrowheads on it. And then you can label this. Once again, this was f of x equals 1/2 x plus 2. All right. Part D also asks you to graph the linear equation g of x is equal to 5 minus x. So once again, go onto your y equals button on the calculator, punch in 5 minus x under the second equation because you're allowed to do more than one, get a table of values, and then plug it in. All right. You should have found that if you did this, actually I'll pause for a second. Why don't you do it? Come back to me. All right, now that you're back here, you should find that -1 was way up here at 6, 0 is at 5, 1's at 4, etc. And you get these points going through. So this is your other equation here going through. I actually do the line here. Terrible drawing here by me, I apologize. But this is where it is. These two actually would cross right here is where we're going to end up talking about. And that is what the part for part E is. It says on part E, where do you get these two sharing a solution? Well, it's going to be where they cross at. So my answer for this part E is actually to be over 2, up 3. So over 2, up 3. Right here's where they cross. Write that answer down. You know the coordinate is 2, 3. And you have two linear functions crossing at that point. That is considered the solution for both sets. Okay, ready to go on to exercise 2. All right, in exercise 2 it says consider this function, y equals x minus 1 all squared minus 4. And notice we're only over this interval. They only want us to go from -1 to 4, which means we start here at -1 and we're allowed to go to 4. So we're only looking in this chunk of the graph. We're not looking at the entire equation. So keep that in mind. That's what that means when you got an interval going from there to there, including equal 2 bars, okay, -1 and 4. We go up to those points. So we've got a table we've got to fill in here. Once again, pause the button, fill in the table here. All you have to do is go to y equals, plug this thing in just like you see it, and you're going to be all set to come up and check with the values here that I'll get in one moment. So pause your video and do it. All right. You should have come up with -1 is registered at 0. 0 is at -3. 1 turns out to be -4. 2 turns out to be -3. 3 turns out to be 0. And 4 turns out to be 5. Once again, this is definitely not linear. Yes, we have a pattern going up here, but this one, if you take a look, is going down, 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 and it turns around and goes back up. So we actually have that piece where these two match up here, and this one here, and that, and you're going to start getting the hang of that. It's called a quadratic and a parabola that we will deal with later. But all you have to do then is in part B now, go and plot these things. It says do a sketch. So at -1, I'm at 0. I'll put a point right there. 0 is down here at 3. 1 is down at 4. 2 is down at 3. I'm back to 0 here. And then 4 is up here at 5. And if you just sketch this part, remember, we're not doing the whole thing. This is where it goes. Notice I didn't put any arrowheads on either one. I only went as far as -1 to the left. I only went as far as 4 to the right. And we're concentrating that because of this interval piece. All right? Now, we move on to question C here. It asks you, what's the minimum? Well, the minimum, obviously, is way down here. This is where we're taking, like, the bottom of the U. Well, what's the coordinate of that one? Well, they want just a minimum. It actually, you can say, is -4. If they want the coordinate, you could actually say that it's 1, -4. That's a term we're going to learn later on called the vertex. The maximum in this one is where? Well, the maximum is up here. That's as far as it goes. Yes, I know it keeps going on. Yes, I know it goes on over here. But we're in this interval limitation, so that is our maximum. It has a height of, should be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like I'm off a point here, so my bad. This should have actually been the ending point right here. So it's going to be a height of 5. Had that in my table, and I plotted it wrong. So just be careful when you're doing these. Obviously, I can mess up as well. All right, going on to part D here. It states, over what interval is the graph function negative? Well, where is it negative? Well, this is where the x-axis is. Anything below it is negative. Anything up here is positive. So we want this interval down here. And remember, we're not including these points right here because 0 is neither negative nor positive. So the way to state this is hey, it's negative from -1, and you get your x, and then you can go all the way up to 3. That's where it states that it is negative in that interval. For part E, it now says state the interval over where it's increasing. Well, increasing again, going up. If I start here, this is going down. Increasing is going to be here, going this way up. So we're going to use this interval again, starting at this point, going up to the 5 there. So this point is basically at 1. So when I write it down, I'm going to have 1. It is including 1. It's where it starts and turns, so I'm going to put an equal to bar. X, and then less than or equal to, you're going to go up to the value of, 4 here. You can only go up to 4 to the right. That's as far as you can go. And that's our basically where it's increasing from that to that on that interval. Okay. Last part we've got here is part F. It says, how can you help this graph to solve this equation? And they gave you this whole thing about x minus 1 squared minus 4 equals -3. Well, if you guys notice, okay, all it is giving you the exact same function that we started off right here, and they want to know where's that equal to 3. Well, once again, on 3 means I'm going to go up 3 here. Where does this thing hit? Well, oh, sorry, it said -3, so we're down here actually at -3, so that's my bad. This is where it hits. So if you're looking, change my color here, and we'll take a look at this. It hits right here, and it hits right here when we're going across at -3. So what are those values? Well, you're looking at this one right here on the 0, and you're looking at this one on the 2. So where does it hit? You're looking at 0, when I change it here, 0 and at 2. Okay, that answers those questions. So hold on for your shoes. We've got one more slide to go. All right, and our final exercise here says, which of the following is a point where the two equations meet? So they're talking about these two here, y equals 3 x plus 7 and y equals -x plus 6. I go right to the y equals again, so once again, keep that in mind. Go to where the y equals screen is and punch those babies in, okay? I like to look at the graph then. So if I do a quick sketch of the graph here, I'm going to change this up again. I take a look and I see one line that goes something like this, and I got another one coming down steeper, something like this, okay? That means this is where they intersect. So using my little brief intelligence here in mathematics, obviously I know they are going to cross to the left here. It looks like on my graph around maybe -2 or so. So I'm going to hit then second y equals, so obviously that's the critical piece. We want to hit that second button and y equals button, those two buttons, that's what you want to do. And we're going to go take a look at the table. When I take a look at the table and I go over there and that, and like I said, my guess was about -2. It actually turns out to be looking like this. This one turns out to be value of 4. This one turns out to be value of 4. At -4, you get actually a value of 1 here and 14 there. And at 0, you get 7 and -6. But if you notice here, these two values are the same. And that's where you want to find out they intersect. So the official answer to this is, where do the two actually intersect? It is going to be at a value of the -2, 4 right there. So -2, 4 is where they intersect. Go to your multiple choice and you will see that is choice 3. Okay. All right, so now you've got a little bit of how to use the graphing calculator as well as in class. Please write a nice WSQ, have everything ready to roll, and we'll see you in class tomorrow.